Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Very happy to be here from Pittsburgh. Okay, I'm going to be reading two poems that are about journeys first, and then I'll read Witness. This one takes place in the White Mountains of New Hampshire. Shining Rock Trail. As we hike the Franconia Ridge between Little Haystack and Mount Lincoln, both sides fall away. Raptors hover in the wind streaming over the edge. Just hang there, barely moving, not twitching a feather. Earlier that morning, we rise in the dark and drive along the Kankamankas Highway. I get nauseous in the car. I always get sick in the car. Look at the horizon. Don't look at the roadside, my father says. He is familiar with my malady. In the woods on the hike up, mosses, birches, twisty pines, the thud of boots, the smell of pitch. As we rise above the tree line, he scans the clouds for rainstorms, thunder on the horizon. The presidential soar, the big one I have not tackled yet. The folds of the Appalachians fan out below me like the generous silk skirt of a Japanese consort. I have studied the 3D map on the wall, the contour lines of the trail map. He refolds along the same pleat lines, the Spam in his backpack, the Hershey bars and homemade trail mix of chocolate morsels, raisins, and peanuts. At the top of Mount Lafayette, cairns mark the trail for when it is foggy. Blue-green waves ripple to the horizon. The sky is a calliope. A trickling spring sprouts, and we follow it down. Little steps, take little steps, he says. The stream spills over boulders, widening and braiding. We cling to tree roots, follow the blaze marks, wedge our boots into crevices. The forest becomes quieter. At the bottom, we peel off our socks and wade in the Kankamegas, the glorious cold water, soothe our feet covered in blisters, despite the 2 pairs of socks and the Vaseline. We bite into green bell peppers and laugh at the juices dripping down our chins, the smell of charcoal and the roar of the wind in our ears as the tannin-colored water covers our toes and buries them in the mountain. Okay, this one takes place in Michoacan, Mexico. If any of you have ever been to Mexico, this is not too far from Mexico City. Janitzio, Noche de Muertos. We took a ferry to get to Janitzio, tiny mound of an island in Lake Pátzcuaro. Dugout boats pulled up on the shore, butterfly nets with long handles propped up to dry. My 2 friends and I arrived early before nightfall, climbed steep stairs past stalls of artisans, past heaping piles of charalitos, 1/3 the size of sardines, fried up and served with wedges of lime. On our climb to the cemetery, I stopped for café de olla, spiked with spices and sweetened with peloncillo. Strong coffee simmering for hours in a large clay jar shaped like a gourd. My friends would not partake, but I did. Ah, the sweet lingering taste of it, burnt coffee and molasses sugar in my mouth a long while afterwards. In the graveyard, whole families on blankets, candle lights flickering, crosses decorated with marigolds, crowds of spectators, film crews' camera lights blazing, purépecha assembled in front of their ofrendas, foods, beverages, photographs, cigarettes, mementos, gifts for their loved ones. Long braids twining down the backs of women and girls while they prayed in Tarasco, a beautiful staccato language. I had to race down the island to the only public bathroom. serendipity guiding me to the right of an open divider, while a borracho went left, pissing loudly. I wound back up to rejoin my friends, and we climbed to the top of the island, where a large church cast its beacons straight into the sky. We sat in hushed tones after all we had seen, families on their blankets, spectators crowded in the cemetery, the ferry across Lake Pátzcuaro, Café de Olla on its fire, the double wing-shaped nets of the fishing boats, and watched bats spiraling in the light column, scooping up insects, lapping whole clouds of them, giddy with their night fill. And sometimes I am still at the top of that island, transfixed by those bats, swirling in the light column, the air thick with insects and memories, the taste of coffee and peloncillo, the smell of marigolds in the graveyard, me and my friends laughing at my emergency, while little fish fly up from the nets that caught them, swimming around us for one brief moment, before wriggling away through a hole in the night sky. Okay, here's my poem, Witness. I fill the dishwasher and turn it on. The cycle begins. My sister sits alone at the table, food pouched in her cheeks. It is a protest. Don't leave the table until you've eaten everything on your plate, Dad told her. She sits in the dark. I don't say a word. I scrub, I scour, run hot water over a pan, pick up a wooden-handled knife, set it safely, sharp edge down. The sprayer spins in the machine, the push and pull, the clanking of plates, the pulse and spray. Lima beans. That's what's pouched in her cheeks, although they have lost all resemblance to their former selves. She could rinse the taste out of her mouth if she swallowed them, but she refuses to do this. She thinks she is hurting him. Why does she hate him so much? Water pulses in the dishwasher. Why don't you just swallow it? I want to say something, but words are inadequate, awkward, gangly. If I open my mouth, what will crawl out? Spiders, perhaps? Isn't she hungry? I am always so hungry. I can never get enough. One time I set upon my food so ravenously that when I looked up, I caught a look of horror on my father's face. He thought I was an animal. I was an animal. Vicious, wolf-like, hastening. I am skinny as a string bean. I run and jump and feel the wind in my hair, racing my favorite game. How fast can you go? At night, I dream he is trying to catch me and spank me. I have to get away from him. I frog stroke in the air, slowly at first. I float higher and higher, over the treetops, the hills in our backyard, the woods beyond, the hill of our neighborhood, the secret pond I found and skated on all by myself, cutting my hand on the back of my skate, hiding the blood when I came home. My secret world. I fly by night, bats in the trees, the flash of a red fox. I float, I fly, I soar. The sky is my friend now. I do not confront him like she does. I escape into my imagination, the pictures I paint with words, the games we play. What's wrong with you? I want to shake her and yell, but I don't. I rinse the last pot and place it in the rack, sponge off the counter in the range, pour sudsy water from the tub into the sink and watch it drain. I clean the strainer, smacking it on the edge of the trash can, hang up the towel, and leave the room. While the protest continues, the walls carry on the listening without me, watching, waiting, witnessing.